Hello, welcome to the pascom video training series. We are here today and the focus of this tutorial will be on telephone books, but slightly more advanced this time around. We have previously touched on, for example, how to manually maintain your telephone books and so on, but we are going to go a bit more advanced and show you how to do it in a much more effective, clean, structured and quicker, professional manner.
Yes.
And what that means is we're going to have a look at how you can use our connectors to import your data. And in our particular tutorial here, we're going to use a CSV file, but there are other options.
Yes. So the other options are you have a pre-configured Exchange connector. We have a pre-configured Active Directory connector where you can read your data from, and so on and so forth. You can go to the Outlook address book locally. You can go to the Apple address book, whatever.
Yeah.
But in many cases, and this is why we mention it now and why we make a separate video, is you have an ERP system.
CRM, ERP, whatever it may be.
You have a management platform.
Yeah.
Normally you do business and you have a kind of management platform somehow, somewhere. Because we cannot have a connector to each and every platform.
There are literally hundreds and thousands of them out there, so it would be almost impossible for us.
So the thing you can almost do in any case is creating a CSV file.
Yeah.
So you just export it from your system in a CSV file where you just put in all the data and then you import it in pascom.
Yeah.
That's easy, and in most of the cases it's possible to create such a file and to import it on the other hand. So this is why we go this way and show you how that works.
So, should we dive in, or have you got something else to say?
No.
Okay, let's dive in.
Dive in. So the first thing we need to know is where you can find our connector. It's here. And then you can add a connector profile. Here you can see there are some connector profiles already, and there is Phonebook out of a CSV file. So you have a Phonebook import from the CSV, and you can upload it with the browser if you like. But this is a very manual way and not good for the connector, because then you have to have somebody who every day or every second day will upload the file. The second option is to fetch it from an URL directly. So you can upload the file to, let's say, Google Drive or whatever you use.
Wherever your share file may be or whatever.
Yes, whatever you use for sharing files. Or locally, if you use our on-site platform, maybe you have also file share, which can have an HTTP access. Most of modern file shares can do this. And you fetch the file from there.
Okay.
This is also what we do because it's good for automation and you can see the whole round trip then better. Encoding should be UTF-8 because it's the most flexible encoding. We have this delimiter, we have line separators like in Windows most of the time, or we have also just a character return. Then we have field enclosures. In our case, we have no enclosures, so like this, but you can change it as you like. You save it. And then the first question is, if you want to prepare your file, how should it look like, or which fields
where do you get the information to know exactly what it should look like? And we've got like the variables and the structures and so on that we have to look into. So where do we get that?
It's completely flexible, but in the template for sure there is something and you can just use it. Here in variables you see on the right hand side the source, so display name, phone name, given name, whatever, and we put it into this variable on the left hand side. And this variable on the left hand side we put into our structure. So to say this is the name or the headline of your CSV file, and this is the file or the variable name you want to use. So there are a few things to mention. You don't need all the headlines in your CSV file. So if you have defined 10 here and you just provide 5, if it's not a mandatory field, for sure you have to
so
provide.
Phone would be mandatory, display name maybe mandatory as well.
Yes.
Yeah, being a phone system, phone is rather essential.
Phone makes sense. But you can have in your CSV file like less or more.
Right.
The important thing is just that you fulfill the mandatory fields and that the headlines are exactly the same.
The rest you can modify exactly according to your needs, pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
So That's it. You can also add something to your needs. In our case, we want to add a label also to this phone book structure where we store the customer number. So in our case, we have an example here in the documentation. We want to create a label which is called customer number, and we want to use a variable to store it like customer number. So that's easy. We can do it, we just say add, and it's also case sensitive, so customer number. And in our field here, it's the headline of the CSV, and we call it like this. Okay, so now we store in addition a field called customer number in the variable customer number.
Okay.
We added this. So now where all the magic happens is in the structure. Here you can see the phone book entry. On pascom side, it has these fields, and into these pascom fields we put these variables here on that side. So that's very important to understand. Here is the source. We put it into those variables. We could have different names here to confuse everybody.
Right.
But
we tried to keep it as simple as possible.
Yes, and then here put the variable into the structure. So you could have the question, how do I know what your field names are? So on the one hand, it's in the documentation. You can read it there. Or you can go to the phone book and then go with the mouse over the label of the field.
Tooltips.
And then there is a tooltip. What is the name of the field? And then you can use it as an import.
We've thought of everything really, haven't we?
Yeah.
Just to keep it nice and easy for everybody.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Then here is the complete example how you have to adapt the structure. So we have the same structure here, but we add as post-process, we add a phone book label like this. And it's easy, we can just copy it because we did not modify this above. We could just copy it as is and put it in there. Customer number into a label which is called customer number. I save it. And my phone book importer is ready to go. But we need the label for sure. Yeah. So if we import now, he tries to fill that label and the label does not exist in the system. It will fail. It will import, but it will not add the label.
And it won't be assigned to the phone book entry and so on and so on. So we need to add that as the next step.
That's the next step. So we go to ACD, call labels, and add one. We have a VIP label already, and now this one we call customer number. We want to show it in the client. We don't want to have actions because maybe you want, but this would be something like if customer with number blah 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 calls, then put them into another queue. It's easier to say it's a partner, yes, no. Yeah. He's very important, yes, no. He did pay the bills, yes, no.
Customer number is very generic, whereas, for example, VIP or partner or SLR level is more specific, and then you can do your routing on the more specific labels.
Yes, but customer number is not good for it, but you could. Okay, then you do this. And then back to the connector, you can edit it, and here you can put now the URL to your file. We prepared this already, so we have the file here, display name, phone number, given name, blah, 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 blah. Customer number, this is the one special we added. And you export this as a CSV file with what you ever defined, and then you upload it to any kind of file service. We use Google Drive here. So the CSV is located here. We copy it to there. So we fetch this file every time. We can simulate it now, save and simulate. And it will import the file. Oh no, it will not import it. It will just fetch it, display it, and you can check, double check if everything is okay for you. And then you say simulate again. If you're not satisfied, then you change the source or whatever. And then you can say import it now. Or you can automate it. You can say every day, 2 o'clock.
Yeah, which is really good, because what you could do is in your data source, your CRM system, you could export the CSV file to whichever your Google Drive or wherever you're going to store it at 2 o'clock. And then at 2:05, you can import it into the pascom system, and your data is kept up to date, clean, nice and easy, and you don't have to do anything.
Yes, so you can full auto this process, and that's what you want.
Cool.
Okay, import now. Yes. The connector run is starting. It's done. Now we can have a look at the phone book. And we see the entries are in there. And here we can see the label and can see that the customer number is attached to it. How does this look like from the client side? I can just reload the phone book. And then I see here all the labels I've set. And that's really cool because if somebody calls me, and even on my mobile phone, I can see before I pick up the phone.
The label.
The label
Yeah.
is important. Know the customer number. He did not pay his bills. He did it. He's a very good partner or whatever.
Whatever information you're bringing
Yes.
out of your CRM or ERP solution.
So you're as informed as possible. So you're not limited to the display name where some people start to use the display name for everything. And if there is a hash in there, then that means this and that and whatnot.
Yeah.
So you can do it clear and easy here and also attach the call routing to it. So having a good phone book and an automated process is key for a cool phone system.
Now, there's going to be bound to be a question here. When we mentioned right at the beginning that you can, in the tutorial for phone books, that we have one phone book for company, one for private. Now, is this limited to the number of entries you can have?
No.
Okay.
We're testing with 100,000 entries. So if we change something on the phone book, this is the test, and it has to work up to your mobile.
Right.
Phone.
Okay.
So that's what we test. For sure, there could be some vendors of hardware phones which try to synchronize this telephone book and it does not work.
Right. Yeah.
Normally, no. So the supported devices of our which we support are also tested and they search and just show the result to not.
So they don't
overload
actually
the
sync
RAM.
it onto the
Yes.
device, they just search it so that it's much quicker,
Yes.
more lightweight, more effective for the user. Okay, fair enough. Good. Well, that is pretty much everything that you need to know about telephone books when it comes to how to do it manually, how to do it automatically from a CSV file. So if you're using your CRM system and so on and so on. Of course, we mentioned there are other options for Active Directory and so on, but that would basically be the same steps using the connector as we've done now with structure, variables.
If you learned the connector once, then it works
pretty
in a very
much
same
everywhere.
way with the other sources.
So we won't go into that in great details, but if you've got any questions about it, for example, you could then just log on to our bootcamp on Thursdays and ask us. Until then, goodbye.
See you.